All right, what's going on with Novak Djokovic? He bows out of Rome in the third round after getting smoked in the head with a water bottle in crazy scenes in Rome. You see it there, doink on the head. That is just freaky material. And for Djokovic fans out there, you're thinking, can anything get worse? Like, what is going on? He's already had a really rough start to the season. We're going to look at historically how bad this start of the season is for Djokovic coming into the French Open and compare it to other seasons. We're also going to look at Sinner's path to taking over the number one rank over Djokovic at the French Open, which is also in jeopardy because he might be injured and not be able to play. So we'll break it down right now here on the Slice because that's what we do. Let's get going. Okay, lots to preview. Who am I? Preview here on the show. Rome has been weird since the beginning. Sinner out, Alcaraz out. Now Djokovic was coming in. We weren't sure what his level was going to be like, and it looked pretty good against Mute. And then doink on the head with the water bottle. People thought it was thrown or someone attacked him. It wasn't. As you can see here, the back bottle slides out of this guy's backpack. And hurts Djokovic. He goes down. He said he was bleeding. We're going to get into what he said in the press conference afterwards. But wow, what a crazy turn of events. If you're new here, welcome to The Slice. I'm Steven. I'm the host, and I'm from Canada, and we make content every week covering the pro tours. So thanks for subscribing. We are on the path to get to 20,000 subscribers, and we appreciate your support. So Djokovic coming in now to the French Open because he's out of Rome. He didn't play Madrid. He played Monte Carlo, lost to Casper Ruud. He played Indian Wells, lost there. And he didn't win, obviously, at the Australian Open. So I was thinking on the last video, I said he had not come into the French Open not winning a tournament for a long time. But I think someone else, or he come into the French Open only playing 3 tournaments. And someone corrected me that he has done that the last few years, actually. And I think, so that's fair enough. That was my mistake. The more insane point that I just looked up is since 2006, Djokovic has not made a final before the French Open other than 2018 when he was injured. So I would write that off. So basically his entire career since he started playing at the top level consistently, he has made finals before the French Open and usually won multiple tournaments, usually won the Australian Open. But this year he hasn't. So this is a new era for Djokovic, just like objectively coming into the French Open. And I don't think he's ever been doinked on the head like this at Rome before, probably getting a concussion like he did there. Just a freak accident. So, if you're a Djokovic fan or if you're just a follower of the sport, you're thinking, there's been lots of rumors circling around to, is this Djokovic's last year on tour? I've heard the theory that he will potentially give it a good run for the Olympics this year because that's the one, big trophy he doesn't have is a gold medal in singles at the Olympics. That's what he's going to play hard for and then basically say goodbye. So he'll play the French Open, play Wimbledon, or maybe I've even heard people thinking that he'll skip Wimbledon. All this is conjecture. All of this is just rumors. But with the way he's been playing, I mean, we'll get into what he said in his press conference about his headspace playing the match after getting doinked on the head. There's been a lot of the matches that have been similar to the way he played here, but now he kind of just has an excuse after getting a head injury before the match. So, it just all makes me think. So, watching the match, he had 3 against Tabillo, who played a great match, and he's not like out of nowhere. He's a top 32 seed at this tournament, and he's been playing his way up the rankings for a while, and he's a great clay court player. So, and he's a big guy. He's made Djokovic look pretty small. He's got to be like 6'4", 6'5". Anyways, 3 of the breaks that Tabillo got over Djokovic were on literally the break point that he lost. Djokovic lost on double faults. So watching that match, you could tell something. He was not on his game for sure. He said he felt disbalance. He felt no coordination out there. Um, he doesn't know if it related. He didn't get like assessed that if he had a concussion or not, but he said he was like cut from the water bottle. He said he had nausea afterwards and headaches. So to me, that's like you have a minor concussion at least. I'm clearly a doctor. Um, but no, anytime you get hit in the head, my dad is a doctor. Anytime you get hit in the head, like, and you rattle your head, you have some form of hangover from it. If it's bad enough, they call it a concussion, but there's always something that's wrong. It's not good to hit your head. So he goes into the match against Tabillo, plays a guy who's hot, playing great, younger, beats him, and now he's going into the French Open with 0 finals, really no momentum or confidence so far in 2024. So that's not good. Obviously, if you're Djokovic, he's just like, okay, no challenge is too big. I've been here before, but obviously being like this after getting hit on the head in a tournament is not a great way to prepare for a major, if you know what I mean. So what do you guys think? Is Djokovic going to be able to turn around? Just thinking about this, it's a boink on the head. We've all been there. We've all hit our head like that. Give it 2 weeks to be the French Open. He's coming to the French Open. Obviously, doesn't have, great practice and form coming into this tournament, but he's still Novak Djokovic. He's still won 24 majors. He's still easily one of the top favorites of the tournament. And I've been thinking, if everyone's healthy, which mind you, these other two guys aren't healthy, out of anyone on tour, other than Nadal, if Nadal can get deep in this tournament, that would be like kind of a miracle at this point. It seems like that's a whole nother video. But really, out of the top players on the tour on clay, who are guys that I believe at the French Open in 5 sets believe they can beat Djokovic and have done it before? There's 2 guys basically for me. Carlos Alcaraz, he's won 2 majors at this point. He's beaten Djokovic in the Wimbledon final. He knows he can beat Djokovic over 5 sets. He's not healthy. His right arm is injured. He needs to figure out his form. Jannik Sinner just beat him at the Australian Open over 5 sets. Djokovic played a bad match, but now he's won a major. He's got a hip issue that we're going to talk about now, lingering. So the 2 guys that I know could beat Djokovic at the French Open and would believe it, because that's a huge part of it, aren't at full capacity either. And now, allegedly, Djokovic isn't either. So it's interesting. There's obviously other guys who, think they can beat Djokovic. Zverev, Ruud, who beat him earlier this year already on the clay. There's other guys. There's Casper, or there's Holger Rune, who would have lots of confidence. There's players who can get there, but really, out of all the contenders, there's 2 guys that it's just like objectively know they can beat Djokovic in a major, because 5 sets is just different than 3. We all know that. You've seen that over the last years. A lot of guys could beat Djokovic on over 3 sets. Less players can beat him over 5 sets. That's a fact. Okay, so will Sinner take over Djokovic's number 1 seed? It actually gets pretty interesting here. So this article from ATPTour.com, basically, if Sinner makes the final of the French Open, then he will be the number 1 player in the world, even if it's Djokovic and even if he loses, I believe. Because Sinner is only defending 45 points while Djokovic is defending 2,000 for winning the tournament last year. So basically, and then if Djokovic loses in earlier rounds of the French Open, he's basically for sure giving up the number 1 spot. But that's like a secondary conversation now. Now, if you're Jannik Sinner, it's kind of concerning what we're seeing out of his, quotes in the press about his hip injury. Basically, he says that he picked up the hip injury in Monte Carlo in the gym training, and it, that was in Monte Carlo. He only played Madrid. It didn't feel good in Madrid. He ended up pulling out of the semifinal before playing, the quarterfinal before playing Felix Auger-Aliassime, and he hasn't been able to play. Now, something in that article, which was said, it's the type of injury that if he doesn't, heal up properly, he could be out for a very long time. We all thought it wasn't. This is the quote here. I'll share this tab instead. Although there's a ton of other stuff on the screen. We all thought it wasn't a serious problem. I don't want to say exactly what it is. If it wasn't 100% healed, I would be forced to stop playing for a long time. the Australian Open champion, said. So Sinner could even miss the French Open. Like that means it's a serious thing. And, we're just watching Dominic Thiem have to retire now because of an injury that he got, retire prematurely. And I don't even want to say the words, but like Andy Murray, these hip types of injuries are not something to be messed with. And you don't even want to put Sinner in the same category about talking about that type of career affecting injury, but as he's 21 and 22 years old. But obviously him and his team are taking it pretty seriously, and it's more serious after looking at MRIs than they originally thought. So that's big news. He was, injury free. He's one of the big stallions of the next 10 years, winning multiple majors. And he's been the best player in 2024 so far, for sure. So it's big. It's big news for Jannik Sinner, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that. So will Sinner take over Djokovic's spot going into or in the French Open? I'm not feeling very confident about it, as he might not even play. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm just hoping he can rest. His hip will feel fine for the French Open, and they can just manage his schedule appropriately going forward. But for Djokovic, it's going to be an interesting time here. What do you think is going to happen? This guy's obviously not at his peak right now. He is lacking. It seems to me like he's lacking motivation in general, getting boinked on the head with a water bottle. Again, I've said doink and boink more than I've ever said in my life. That is just crazy town and adds complexity to the whole situation. So he goes to the French Open, 0 finals in 2024, first time since 2006 outside of the injury year. That's very interesting to me. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below on that and the Jannik Sinner situation. It is not looking good. That's the news delivered to you. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for following me here on X at The Slice Steven for more news. We will see you next time here on The